Welcome to the Witchy Work Wishes podcast, a place to find your weekly inspiration for bringing your personal witchcraft practice into your business, work, and office. Welcome to Witchy Work Wishes. I am your host, Charlene, and today's episode is a long time coming, and something I have been super anxious and excited about for a while. Today we are talking about sigils, and I have a guest joining me to help walk us through it all. But first, I'd like to share some things I did over the weekend to help with my own personal practice. It was a magical weekend for sure. This time tapping into my own personal heritage and planning out my Christmas Eve with my boys and mom this year. Now, not that Christmas Eve is not special enough just in itself. I am adding a new layer into our annual traditions this year to bring the historical, ancestral level to it. So, first tradition, and this one goes way, way back to when my boys were very little. I think actually back in 2004 maybe. But my boys found out there was no Santa Claus in the spring of that year. So my whole goal and theme was trust and believe. Now, we are not religious in any form or fashion. So Christmas for me, for my whole life and my boys' whole life, was all about family, more, Norse traditions, Santa Claus, and presents on Christmas Day. But for a child's first Christmas without Santa, well, pressure was on, but I made it happen. And that Christmas Eve, we watched The Polar Express. It was the first year I think it came out, and it was perfect because this was the year that I needed to step it up. So on Christmas Eve, they opened their own bell, not elaborate. I did not have a bunch of money when the boys were little. And they each got a piece of paper that had a word punched out, just like the tickets in Polar Express. Now, Taylor's word was trust, and Connor's word was believe. And I even made a bell and ticket for my mom, which said beauty. So year after year on Christmas Eve, the boys would get in their jammies, the lights would be turned off, candles were, of course, already going, and a warm fire was lighting up the living room. We would settle down, and they opened their bell. They had their punched out word. And actually later, a couple years later, I started adding a personal card to each of them saying how very much I loved them, how appreciated they were, and how proud I was of them. Now, after Polar Express ended, the boys went off to bed, and my mom and I brought all of the presents out and put them under the tree. Stockings were stuffed, and a glass of wine was shared between mother and daughter as we grabbed blankets and curled up and looked with great approval at all of our hard work. Now, it's almost 20 years later, and this routine has yet to change. It's the last thing we do on Christmas Eve, and it's a tradition that holds so much value to me and my family. Now, over time, I hope this tradition stays so that, when I am gone, they can bundle their many, many holiday bells collected over the years and know that I am still with them during Christmas. So the new addition this year is the ancestry announcements, which I think I mentioned last week. And honestly, neither my mom nor me can see straight. We are so excited. Again, not a big surprise with all of my mom's hard work on our, bloodline, but the boys' results came in and we're going to make it very ceremonial. Now, part of my mom's family tradition that I personally grew up with was having Welsh rarebit. It's basically a really yummy cheese sauce of types, but we had that on Christmas Eve. Now, our variation with my family was to put it over saltine crackers instead of toast. But I brought it back over the past couple of years, not as a full meal, but more like an appetizer, or something in between that. My tradition for Christmas Eve is a big ham, potatoes, and green beans. And, once you start something, be careful because it can't be changed. So it is set. But I do prepare the Welsh rarebit to have before dinner. So this year, I bought some mead that has a great Viking image on it, and we're going to have the Welsh rarebit over homemade rolls that, and you'll understand more when you hear Justin and I talking, that the boys will be carving a sigil into before baking to, kind of help celebrate our traditions. Now, after we have the mead and yummy cheese and toast, we're going to present my mom and I are going to present their little binders or books that have all of the good information in it. And I can't give it away in case either Taylor or Connor are listening to this right now, but we have some stuff planned, like really cool stuff. Candles with the sigil drawn in it that will be lit on Christmas Eve. 5 generational quilts that will be brought out. Like, oh my God, so much stuff. My mom and I are just going crazy over this. And I'm honestly smiling. I have a big smile on my face right now just talking about this. After we have, fun with our ancestors and learning more about our history, which will gladly and with expertise be narrated by my mom, we'll sit down for a big ham dinner. After that, Polar Express, and then the boys have to go to their rooms still. In their mid-20s, they have to go to their rooms so we can bring out all of the presents. Now that sounds like a reasonable evening, right? Time-wise. But, we're a chatty group. Last year, we actually started the Polar Express movie at 2:30 a.m. So you can imagine getting to bed after setting the room for the morning rush was literally almost morning itself by the time we were all done. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited though. This is my most favorite time of year. I love the fall, I love the winter, and all the magical stuff that comes with it. So it's only 3 weeks away, and I already feel the rush, clearly, right? I already feel the warmth in my heart. I already feel the magic of the season. So now you know, my annual Christmas Eve tradition that will have the added bonus of heritage, more traditions, and family ties this year, and it's something that we'll be able to incorporate each year after. All right, let's see. The moon, she's in her last quarter phase right now, getting smaller and smaller before her dark moon phase next week. So what should we be doing right now during our waning moon? Well, it's all about releasing, it's letting go of stuff that no longer serves us, letting go of things that hold us back. Now, put some work into the why portion of this, why it's not working, why you need to let go. Reflect before you say goodbye so you have a clear understanding of why you are removing it from your life, from your beliefs, from your presence. I promise it will make the letting go part much easier if you have a deep understanding of why it must go. Okay, on to Sigil Magic. So Justin and I recorded this while he was on a road trip of sorts with his wife and 3 kids. So you'll hear some giggling, some background family fun, which, as you know, always warms my heart. And since this is Justin's second time on with me, we had some catching up to do and definitely took some side road conversations throughout the taping. But that's what I like, right? Good conversation, and you just kind of see how it flows, because it will naturally pick up its own rhythm, and I think that makes for a great recording. Now, we did go a little long, so I did find a good point to break it. And this week is going to be part 1. Next week, of course, will be part 2. So let's go ahead and join the recording with Justin, the Pagen Padre, and talk about Sigil Magic. Okay, well, I am back, and I am so excited to have Justin back with us. You guys more than likely know him as the Pagen Padre, but welcome, Justin.
What's up, Charlene? I'm so glad to be back.
Yay! So I was actually looking back at my notes, Justin, and it was early July that we last talked.
Yes. It's been a while.
It has. And I always like to start my podcast off with, some things I did over the weekend, but gosh, I would love to hear how your summer was, because I know you had some really big projects that you were about to launch last time we talked.
So yeah, I am the DFGO, which is Designated Faith Group Leader for the Fort Johnson in Louisiana Army base.
Okay.
Leader for the Pagan community. We officially got started and September 20th, which, as all of us would just know, that's Maybon.
That's right, right?
So that was our first, like, that's when we were official, and we had our first gathering, and we've had Samhain since. I've got some amazing people who have stepped up and are leaders and are doing classes like every Saturday.
Did it when you first got approached to do this segment, right, for your community, did you envision it turning into what it's already in a very short amount of time grown to be?
No, because it was started with just a couple soldiers coming up and us having a conversation and saying, "Oh, I wish I had XYZ. I
Mm-hmm.
wish I had XYZ." And eventually, I just was like, So what happened was Odin and Hecate were like, "Hey, bud, it's time to put your big boy boots on, and you're gonna go talk to the main chaplain.
Oh
Skip
my,
everyone else, just go straight to him." And he can't. We talked, and him and some of the other garrison chaplains were like, "Hey, so we don't know jack about this,
yeah.
but we've been trying for the last couple of months to get a group together, and it's just not happening. So we're gonna put you in charge of that, if that's something you want to do." And I was like, "Sure." And
This
it
is
kind
it.
of snowballed.
Yeah. I'm so, when you were talking about that back in July, like I was so honestly excited for you, and just to see the impact the community is going to have, just because of just even knowledge. Maybe it's not somebody that is down this path, or maybe, maybe they're on a totally different path, but just to have a broader understanding of different cultures, different ideas, different thoughts, like that is really exciting to me.
Yes, it's amazing. We have so many different walks, uh, like paths
I bet.
that people are walking, and there's so many new people, and it's really awesome to be able to usher them and guide them through this path,
For
and,
sure.
and to help them figure out, like our topic today, like, what are those? How do we do them?
Right.
What is this? How do I do this? One of our first classes was a grounding and centering class, and then the
Oh,
next one was ritual etiquette.
what a perfect way to start the whole thing off, with grounding. It's good for you. That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's really cool because it's not just me saying, "Hey, this is how you do it," because there's no one way to do anything, and we know that.
You know that. Yep.
So it's really cool to see, like, all these different practitioners. Some people work with Lucifer and Lilith, some work with Egyptians, me
Hmm.
with Norse and Hecate. So it's like all do it so different, but they're all the same.
That must be that type of energy, that collective energy with all these different voices, all these different thoughts. I can't imagine what that would feel like.
It's energizing,
It
to say
must
the
be.
least.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh, so for those of you who don't know, Louisiana's been in a really bad drought, and for our Mabon ritual, at the end of it, it started to rain, like, pretty heavy.
You're kidding.
I really, okay, Bubby, here comes Loki coming in.
Here you go.
Um, but yeah, no, it literally started to rain for like 45 minutes, and it was the first rain we got in months.
After you had your Maybon ceremony.
Yeah, like, as I closed circle, it started to rain.
Oh my gosh. That would have been, did anybody record any of it, or did you get any of it on pictures?
No, we took pictures for almost all of our events that we do.
How
So
powerful. That's powerful, Justin.
it really was. It was really, really intense, especially for like a group of people who haven't been together
Mm-hmm. And how
and like
that
have
must
never
have,
worked together and have never cast circle together.
oh my gosh. And that, just think of the extra power that gave them then. I mean, I can feel that. I can visualize it and feel what that would be. Oh my gosh. How exciting.
Yes, and everyone still talks about it. And like now that it starts to rain, we're like, okay, nobody mention rain before we do anything because it's gonna rain on
Now you know
It's
your
an
power.
ongoing joke because
Yeah.
for for our one of our classes, for the ritual etiquette class, we were talking about rain and it started to rain, like it started to sprinkle. We are like, no,
Oh my gosh.
not again.
No, 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 no. I didn't mean to
So
start.
it's an
I just,
unspoken rule now. Don't talk about rain.
that's awesome. You got a powerful group then.
I do. I really do.
And then what was your class? I know you just had something before you're jumping on with me here. What were you talking about today?
Today's class was like an intro to Hecate. It went really well. Most of our classes do. Everyone's super receptive, and it's just all of the stuff we do. Like it feels like we could just conquer the world if we really wanted to.
Probably can. Get collective like that, you probably can. And hey,
That's definitely the energy that's being built up.
right? And hey, not to already book you for another one, but my younger son has always been very drawn to Loki, and I know he is one of your guys. I would love, love, love to get you back on a podcast specifically about Loki, if that would be okay with you.
I would love that. Yeah, Loki just popped in and was like, "Hey, yeah, do it. Let's do it now, right now."
Oh my God.
I'm just sitting here like, "No, but it's like it's not your time yet."
Wait, hold on. Yeah, you know what? Actually, Connor's going to be home in a couple weeks for Christmas, so for the holidays. So I would, well, let me see if we can try to chime that in. But that would be amazing if I could get all three of us on together.
Yeah, we could totally make that work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Like I said, my favorite episodes with
yeah.
you are like with your boys.
Oh my gosh.
So
Do you know? I can barely see straight. I'll probably mention it, but I got the DNA stuff back, and both of them want to get some. You know, my older one Taylor is really into that the Norse stuff in general, very connected to Odin and
yeah,
his ravens and the wolf, and my younger ones, I would love to get him on like with you or something, but his guy is Loki for sure. And I'm like, oh God, I want to introduce you to Justin. Oh, but both
oh,
I
I
got
love
their
that. That'd be so cool.
that would be okay. Connor, so my younger one, Connor, he actually he's taking, they're both in college, but Connor is,
Yeah,
Connor's taking, he wants to be a psychologist, actually go to get his doctorate, the whole thing. But part of it is, the beginning stuff is your general ed. You have to have certain classes, regardless of what your primary field's going to be in, right? So he's doing like
yeah.
biology, chemistry, and all that. And he was just talking about it. He's like, Mom, like some of this stuff I think kind of actually works with like the witchcraft side of things. I'm like, boo, you're right. I mean, there are certain herbs that are used that are specific because they're the qualities that they have. But he wanted to get into and do like a joint podcast of him talking about the chemistry side. And I was like, oh, Connor, that is so sweet. Like, so I got to see
That's a thing though. Like
right?
I found there was a guy who does like metal magic.
Oh, that would
I'll
be
find it and send it to you.
okay. Yeah, right on, right on. Okay, so today actually we are talking about sigils, and I would love just to get a full breakdown, like start to finish, what they are, how we can make them, and then of course how we can use them, or how people can use them with their individual practices.
Yeah. Okay. So
What actually is a sigil?
sigils are magical drawings or symbols that we create using our intentions.
Got it. And does it have to be like a word, or can it be an image, or what? Or is it pretty much open to what the practitioner needs?
I would say it's pretty open.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I love chaos magic, and we like to take things from all over pop
Mm-hmm.
culture, especially. So
Mm-hmm.
if you've ever seen the Mortal Instruments, they have their symbols and what they mean. And I used to use those all the time, specifically like the ones for string.
Mm-hmm. So sigil, the visual side of a sigil is up to whatever you need. It could be words, it could be a drawing, it could be just any type of image, right?
Yes.
So how would one start to make it, or think about the creation process? Because I have heard that it really, like, you can certainly use other sigils, right? But if you can create one
Hmm.
yourself, it's got much more power to it.
Yes. I have a book that I bought forever ago, and it shows a way to make sigils. And what you do is you write out, like, let's say, protect this home. You
Mm-hmm.
write it out, and then you cross out all the letters that repeat.
Okay, I've seen that. Yep.
Yeah, and then you have the specific letter, one letter of each, and then you make a wheel. So
Mm-hmm.
one to nine, and certain letters go with the numbers
Right.
of the alphabet. So like you start with a graph and you write 1 through 9, then you go A B C D, however, until you get to 9, then you start back over. So you have a row that correlates with the numbers.
Yep, I'm with you.
Yeah, and then when you start with your wheel of the numbers 1 through 9, and they can be in any order. It doesn't have to go like a clock. You can put one at the like 8 o'clock position and two at the 12 o'clock. It doesn't matter how your wheel at wherever your first number is. So let's say your first number is at 8. So you start with 8. Then you draw a line to 4. Draw a line to connect all your numbers, and then you draw a line at the end to signify like this is where the sigil stops.
So are you connecting the letters that represent the numbers? So, A, B, C, and D is within the letter or the number 1. Are you connecting the in sequence of what the letters are remaining in the word protect this home? In the words?
Yes.
I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So it's like A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, and so on. And then once you hit whatever the 9th letter is, you start back over, and the 10th letter would be 1.
Got it.
So whatever number that column that falls under, that's the number that you'll go to.
Oh, I see. So you're. I'm with you. Okay.
I use that a lot when I first started making sigils, and it works really well. I've seen people on like Instagram do sigils where they like have the first letter of each word, and they put them together and make a sigil that way.
I guess the end result,
kind of like you're stacking them.
Right. And yeah, I've seen that where they take the first letter, draw it out, whether it's a whatever, and then try
like
to
a B.
like a B, and then you try to make other letters out of that B or extend it so you create your image that way too.
Yeah.
God, that's going to be tough.
Exactly.
If you're really into something aesthetically pleasing, because that might not come through like real balanced. But it is what it is, right? That's hard.
Yeah, exactly. And it could just be, you could say protect this home. You can draw a straight line with like 4. You could draw a vertical line with like 4 diagonal slashes going one way, and 4 going the other way, and 3 down in the middle. And
I see. Yeah.
When you create that, you think of saying this sigil is to protect this home.
Okay. So do you recommend that like once yeah, Justin, you're breaking up quite a bit.
It's probably my service.
There you go. Look, I can hear you now.
Oh no.
Is it dropping?
It's probably the water. We're going from Louisiana to Texas.
Oh.
Bobby? Hello?
Hello.
Okay. I went from
nice
Texas. I went from Louisiana to Texas.
Oh.
So.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You just had no connection. Forget it.
I was like, oh no.
Okay, bye.
I was like, okay, bye. See you later.
Okay, bye. Okay, so we left off with sigils, and I was starting to say that, do you think like once you have the actual image and you're happy with it, then you can start putting some of the powers into it and your intentions? Or do you really feel like that should be done as you are drawing the lines and as you are creating it?
So you can definitely do that afterwards. There are ways that I've seen and read about where you quote unquote activate a sigil, which is where like you draw it on a bay leaf and you burn it, or you take your spit and rub it on it. Having the intention beforehand is awesome, but if you just want to make a sigil because your brain says, hey, draw this, and you draw it and you don't know what it's for, and then like a day or 2 or a week later you draw it again, your brain's like, oh hey, that's what this is for. That's perfectly acceptable.
That would be amazing. That's like your subconscious coming through saying, hey, we gotta work on something.
That happens to me with bind runes a lot.
Really?
Yes. I'll get like the thought to draw out one, and then a thought to draw out another one, and then another one. And eventually I just had this long stack of runes. I'm like, what's this for? And my brain's like, I don't know, save it.
Oh my
And then
God.
eventually I'll scroll back through my pictures. You had to bring in Loki.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
It's okay. But yeah, so I'll have this.
Oh my God.
I'll just go through my stack of pictures one day, and I'm like, hey, what was this for? And my brain's like, oh, for this. And I'm like, oh, okay, that was like last week.
Oh my gosh. That's a very strong tie to your subconscious, and that's awesome.
And yeah, it is. And then sometimes I'm like, I don't even know. I'm just gonna burn it and see what happens.
Loki would be proud.
Yeah, he would.
Okay, so we have let's say we've got our sigil. We've given it our intentions of what the purpose is going to be. Then what comes next? Like how do we integrate that into our either day in and day out lives or for specific use?
So for me, I draw them on my truck because I work for a garbage company.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's always dirty and dusty, and I will consistently draw sigils and runes on my truck.
Mm-hmm.
And when I get asked what it is, I'm like, I don't know. I just felt like drawing it. So you could definitely, have one for your workspace on your desk. If you have a stack of sticky notes,
Mm-hmm.
draw one out and then stick it somewhere.
That's just something you could even doodle just if you're sitting on the phone and waiting, part of a
Yeah,
conference meeting, Zoom meeting, Teams meeting, something.
yeah. If you're waiting to go for a job interview and you've got some paper, you could write out real quick. I am confident. Draw your graph real quick. Draw the sigil. Stick it in your pocket.
Oh, I like that. I know I've mentioned before with, getting ready for work in the morning, whether it's cologne, essential oil, perfume, whatever you're doing, that if you have a roller ball, drawing a sigil on your body is super easy. I think with a roller
Yes.
ball. Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna suggest that also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know something that certainly ties into my practice being really drawn to the kitchen witch side of things. If you're baking bread,
Mm-hmm.
right, baking a pie, even you could put that sigil in of whatever intention you're trying to bring to the people that are going to be eating it. So a bread, loaf of bread might be a little bit more obvious. It's gonna be right there on the top. But certainly if it's, in a pie crust, for the holidays, there's a lot of stuff you could add in, I think, right now that would be amazing for sigils.
Yeah. I make some shortbread cookies
Mm-hmm.
and take a knife and just draw it on there real quick.
I love it.
If I stir my coffee clockwise
Mm-hmm.
to bring in things, but also I've known myself to sit there and draw out a sigil or a rune in the coffee with my spoon.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, and that'll work for tea or anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Chocolate milk.
Gosh, Justin, you could even pour, like if you're mixing it with like a powder, you could pour the powder on top of the milk before mixing it in the shape of the sigil.
Yeah.
There's a lot of options.
Yeah, like with my wife's over here whispering things that pops into her head.
Okay, good.
She said, like with syrup.
Oh, absolutely. Pancakes,
I didn't even
waffles.
think about that.
Mm-hmm. That's a great option too. That's perfect.
Yeah, or like if you bake a cake for yourself, if kitchen witchcraft.
Yep.
Use your piping bag. Bust out a rune. Bust out a sigil on the top of that cake. Who's gonna care?
Right. Especially if it's for family and friends that are supportive of all this, that they're gonna love it just as much.
Yes.
That's amazing. I mean, honestly, in kitchen witchcraft, you've got infinite options of using sigil work with your baking and cooking.
Oh yeah. Kitchen witchcraft is just controlled chaos.
That's probably so true, Justin. Oh my gosh.
You let a cake bake 1 minute too long and it's done for. You let it cook 1 minute a little too soon, it's done for.
It's true. I don't know.
I've worked in too many kitchens.
How does Loki do in the kitchen?
Oh, we don't talk about that. You can ask my wife how many times I came home burned for no reason.
No. Oh my gosh. There's always something, isn't there? Especially in the kitchen.
Yes.
But
There's
I mean,
always
yeah.
there's always some chaos that's happening behind the scenes that you don't realize until you turn around and look at it.
One of the things I did last year for my Yule fire is I kept a piece of the fire, the actual wood or like the charcoal of it, I guess, so that I could start this year's Yule fire. And now that right now that we're talking about it, but in the ashes, I know there's a lot of not scrying that you can do with ashes, but you can certainly look at smoke and interpret the shapes and the visions that you can get with it. But you certainly could put some sigil work into the ashes of either a fire pit or your home fireplace.
You definitely could scry into like the ashes of a fire, because it would be just like doing tea leaves.
Right. And fire can definitely speeds things up and put some extra energy into it. So if you're really needing maybe some more help or some more manpower, the firework might work really well with that.
Yeah, that's definitely awesome to think about. Or like you said, you have a fireplace. You could draw sigils inside of the fireplace, like on the bricks.
Oh, absolutely. That would be amazing. And then look at that and just let your vision kind of blur looking at the sigil with the fire burning. Oh my gosh. Where else? You know what you could do? Even for like the herbal witchcraft or the green witch, the garden witch, the cottage witch, all that different type of practices, you really could put sigil work every single place. You could carve it into the dirt of your potted plants. There's so many things you could do.
Yes, most definitely. But you could totally, what is it called? If you work outside and like you're like a nature witch or forest witch, you could definitely like find bones and use bones or sticks to tie in the sigils with some twine.
Absolutely. Oh, that'd be so pretty. I've got a friend that's definitely more into the bone magic side of things. So I'd love to bend her ear about that one.
I love my bones.
You do?
I just don't have the space for bones.
Well, I remember the last time we talked, you said you were I think, was it something with Loki? And then you literally came to the next spot and there was a cow's skull. Wasn't there something like that?
Yes. No, I was asking my spirit guides to show me what my spirit animal was.
Oh, that was it. Yeah.
Or my Philgia. Yes. And I went to the next stop and there was a cow skull.
Oh my God. So
he sits out in my front yard.
It still is?
Yeah, he hangs out in the front yard by the T-post.
That's awesome. But you know what? For the witches that are really tied to a lot of animals, like I certainly am with the crows, that I put peanuts out for them every day. I could put the peanuts in the shape of a sigil that is meant to bond me with them more, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Bird seed.
Or like
yeah,
bird seed. I'll put it on your feeders, make a birdhouse, and paint a rune on there.
That would be perfect. Oh my gosh, like it's up to you, right? There's so many ways to bring sigil magic into your practice.
Your lock password on like for your iPhone.
Justin, of course.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that.
It just popped into my head.
That is so freaking perfect. That would be amazing to have your sigil as your lock screen password. Whatever those numbers end up being. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm literally going to do that when we're done talking.
Yeah, or like some phones you can do the swipe thing, like where you connect the dots.
Yes.
Yeah, you could do that as a sigil.
I love that. I mean, talk about the, witchy work wishes. Like your phone's with you all the time. So something you can do at the office is something just like that.
Or you can use the numbers instead of drawing a sigil out. You could just use those numbers for a password. That's like your lock screen password.
Initially, when you said that, that's what I thought of. But yeah, I do know you can do that swipe code thing too. But yeah, I thought it would just be the numbers making the design out. Oh, I love that idea. That's amazing. All right, well, that is a great stopping point for Justin and I talking about sigil magic and many more things. I do have a quick little thing to say that on our next episode, part 2, Justin has a big announcement. I'm really excited about it. Okay, so that's it for today. I promise we'll pick up right where we left off with next week's episode. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you for joining me. I hope you have a great week and weekend, and I will talk with you next week. Thank you for joining me today at Witchy Work Wishes, a place to find your weekly inspiration for bringing your personal witchcraft practice into your business, work, and office. For more information and additional content, please visit me online at witchyworkwishes.com. If you want to send me a personal note, please email me at info@witchyworkwishes.com. And of course, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Just search for Witchy Work Wishes.